Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Thank you for your support on Patreon, the Beast Brock Taylor. Hey WrestleTalk, it's SoCal Val here, and as usual, I'm here to spread the hot goss from the world of wrestling. But before we get started, have a super click party by hitting the like, subscribe, and bell icon to enable notifications, and leave a comment down below to answer the question of the day. Who do you think should feud with Bray Wyatt after Finn Balor? Now, I hate to play favorites when it comes to wrestlers. Oh, who am I kidding? Playing favorites is pretty much my favorite thing to do ever. So I coerced the powers that be here at WrestleTalk to let me run down a specific list about the wrestler that is, in my opinion, one of the best WWE superstars of our generation, Bray Wyatt. But who will be brave enough to take on this juggernaut next? Well, strap in and hold on tight, because today I'm going to break down 9 potential WWE feuds for Bray Wyatt after Finn Balor. So, let's get to it. Bray Wyatt made his shocking return to WWE this past Monday, attacking Finn Balor and displaying his new creepy look and even creepier mask. While Wyatt's return was something fans have been clamoring for since the Firefly Funhouse aired its first episode, some fans were thinking Wyatt was going to be catapulted straight into the main event. Instead, he came back and attacked Finn Balor, who had just lost the Intercontinental Championship, and he just lost to Samoa Joe. While this could lead to Wyatt defeating the Demon for the first time, there's a lot of directions Wyatt could go after SummerSlam. There's an entire roster full of talented individuals, and loads of them are ready for Bray to come knocking on their door and smash their faces in with a giant cartoon sledgehammer, before making a delicious jam out of their remains. You know, normal rivalry stuff. Now, let's get into some fantasy booking. Contestant number 1, come on down, Braun Strowman. This would be an interesting feud even if the pair didn't have history together, but the fact they do could make this one of the feuds of the year. Braun Strowman was introduced to the WWE from the Wyatt family, being the black sheep of the group. It was only from the brand split of 2016 that he finally found legs as a single star when he was separated from Wyatt. Having Bray Wyatt attempt to rekindle some psychological mind games with Strowman could be very entertaining, with Strowman being known to be influenced by Wyatt in the past. Showing a vulnerability to Braun, a crack in the normal shtick of screaming Braun and lifting his arms in the air and breaking nearby things would be really enjoyable television. Watching Braun struggle to maintain his usual intimidating persona and instead showing a little bit of fear inside him could be exactly what Bray Wyatt needs to cement this new character. Plus, it would be fun just to see the two of them square off in terms of wrestling, with Wyatt being able to match and exceed Strowman's combination of speed and power and outsmart him psychologically in the ring. Contestant number 2, Ali. While Ali hasn't been seen on WWE TV in some time, his new gimmick with video segments talks about fighting and overcoming your own demons, including alcoholism, and beating people up in the street? Regardless, Bray Wyatt is definitely someone who has some serious inner demons. He even spelled his out for us on an episode of Firefly Funhouse. SOCIOPATH, sociopath. It's the word of the day. The direct contrast of Ali looking to fight demons and Wyatt exercising those demons and not wanting to get rid of them at all could make for some great storytelling in and out of the ring. Plus, the two are very gifted in-ring performers and could tell some of their own mini-stories during matches, as well as the overarching story of using demons versus fighting them. The only issue with this feud would be that this would be Ali's return to TV, so you wouldn't really want him to lose the feud, and you wouldn't want Wyatt to lose if he's being built to be one of your top stars. So, 50-50 booking? In all seriousness, there's a way to do this where Wyatt can win, and Ali can be built up even in defeat. On to contestant number 3, Kofi Kingston. What's the next stop after beating a former Intercontinental Champion? Sure, you could go for the current Intercontinental Champion, the US Champion, or the Universal Champion, but how about the WWE Champion? If Kingston loses his championship at SummerSlam, this could have a top-tier feud written all over it. It would further Wyatt's skyrocket treatment and stop fans resenting his meteoric rise to the top, while still placing him much higher on the card, which feels like a much more natural progression than return, win a match, championship. Having said that, even if Kingston doesn't lose his championship, Wyatt very much could still challenge for the WWE Championship with Kingston as the champ. Bray would be the perfect foil for the New Day's happy-go-lucky antics, and he would allow them to get a bit more serious. Plus, there's even been a storyline in the past that Woods was easily controlled by Wyatt. Play off that some more and sow seeds of tension in the New Day. Don't do a split up, obviously, but just let it feed into the psychological warfare. Plus, this allows for Wyatt to take on the likes of Big E and Xavier Woods in the build-up instead of having to beat Kofi Kingston repeatedly, which can lead to awkward booking situations. On to contestant number 4, Rey Mysterio. You know who's the greatest underdog of all time? Rey Mysterio. You know who's great at putting people over without damaging his own credibility? Rey Mysterio. You know who also wears a mask? Rey Mysterio. That's who. Rey is incredible at displaying emotion, even through a mask, and being able to watch his fear as Wyatt attacks him would be awesome. Plus, Wyatt could go full psychopath on him, he could brutally beat him up and take his mask away, he could do all sorts of horrible things to him, and the crowd would eat it up. Wyatt's dark, brooding, strobe-light spectacular is such a perfect contrast to Mysterio's bright and colorful attires and entrance. Wyatt's new gimmick would be sure to get over with casual fans who might not be as hyped for Wyatt as us internet nerds are. Did I just call myself a nerd? I'm cool with that. Contestant number 5, Ricochet. Something that's understated these days is the in-ring capability to get someone over. Just having someone sell a particular move in a certain way can get that performer over, both the wrestler taking and giving the move. Ricochet is a shining example of someone who can make someone look like $1,000,000 just by selling their offense like a champion. If there was ever someone who, now more than ever, needed someone to cement themselves as a legitimate threat in the ring, it's Bray Wyatt. Wyatt's previous run was inherently uninspired. He talked a lot but never really backed up anything he was saying in the ring. With a new character and freshly inspired gimmick, he needs to root himself as the legitimate threat and championship contender in the eyes of the fans. Entering Wyatt into a feud with Ricochet will get over Bray's moveset and new characteristics, so much so that doing them to other wrestlers will still pop the crowd because they know it's coming. It can only be a good thing for both competitors, because it would also allow Ricochet to further the push he's been getting after his feud with AJ Styles finishes. On to contestant number 6, Aleister Black. Well, this one already feels big time if you just put the two of them in the ring together. Just imagine Aleister Black sitting in the ring, the Fiend appears before him and he stares back unfazed by what's in front of him. Wyatt sits across from him. They engage in a stare-off and then put on an absolutely amazing wrestling match with each of them attempting to strike fear into the other. I've gotten excited just talking about it, so imagine this actually playing out in the ring. It could happen, and while it would include a brand jump for one of them, what does the brand split even mean these days, right? The issue with doing this feud post-SummerSlam is the same as the problem with Ali. You want to be building up Aleister Black and Bray Wyatt, and putting the pair against each other spells disaster for at least one of them. Again, there probably is a way to do this right, where both are protected and look strong in defeat, but it would have to be done to perfection. Anything less than perfect would be an injustice to both of these marvelous wrestling characters. Contestant number 7, Kevin Owens. With Owens being cemented as one of the company's top babyfaces, how great would it be for him to be able to elevate Wyatt and solidify this new character in main event status? There's an obvious plot thread for Wyatt to follow here, and that's Owens' family. Imagine Firefly Funhouse segments, but Kevin Owens' family were on the set. It would drive him insane, perhaps literally. The psychological games Wyatt could play on him just with that would be an incredibly engaging piece of television. Then the blow-off match, where Owens would want to strike fear into Wyatt. The same fear he had instilled in him with his family, but he realizes during the course of the match that Wyatt knows no fear. Wyatt could win clean after Owens goes through every trick in the book to take him down, none of which work. He can hit every move, go through every tactic he knows, and Wyatt is still not afraid, to which Owens can be taken down with his sister Abigail as he is consumed by the darkness that Wyatt spreads. It could be a beautifully told story. Do it right, WWE. That's all we're saying. Contestant number 8, Roman Reigns. The big dog will always be one of the top stars in WWE. Just due to the nature of his push and how protected he is in the eyes of those backstage, Reigns could take several losses back-to-back and bounce back into the Universal Championship picture the following week. As such, it would be a pretty big deal for someone to beat him, and beat him clean. That's exactly what Bray Wyatt could do. After putting on a solid match, Wyatt hits a single Sister Abigail and puts Roman away for the 3 count. It would absolutely skyrocket his popularity and his stock within WWE. He'd feel like a megastar. And isn't that the whole point of this? To make him a megastar? That's the end goal, right? So just do it. There's an open goal for you. All you've got to do is pull the trigger and get the points. That's how sports work, right? Wyatt beating Reigns clean means you'd have someone who would have a claim to any single championship in the entirety of WWE. Have him face Brock Lesnar, have him face Goldberg, have him face Triple H, literally anyone, and Wyatt wouldn't feel out of place after beating Reigns. And finally, we come to contestant number 9, Seth Rollins. Wyatt is being groomed to be one of WWE's top stars, and I don't think that's news to anyone. Speaking of top stars though, Seth Rollins may be on the cusp of winning back the Universal Championship from Brock Lesnar. If he does, and if he wins clean, Rollins could be the new top guy in the company. But don't get too comfortable, Seth, because look out, here comes the new top bad guy in the company. Seth can be celebrating on the Raw after SummerSlam when Wyatt interferes and immediately inserts himself into the main event picture. There doesn't need to be one big story behind this one, just that Wyatt really wants the title and wants to inflict pain on Rollins. Plain and simple. These would still be great in-ring stories, and you could also play off of the history of the Wyatt family versus the Shield if you really wanted to. But those were just some suggestions. Who would you have Wyatt Wyatt feud with? Leave us a comment answering the question of the day, and while you're there, press the thumbs up, subscribe, and bell icons, and press the videos to my right to be taken to more Screen Stalker and WrestleTalk content. A special thank you to our pledge hammers on Patreon, some of whom you can see scrolling below me right now. For WrestleTalk, I'm SoCal Val, sending lots of love from California.